This is a journey to discover the essence of one of the world's most ancient civilizations. Discovering China.
Hi, I'm Melina Wang and welcome to Discovering China, the show where we bring centuries of ancient Chinese traditions right into your living room. Coming up today, Margaret Try is back at New York's Chinese Scholar Garden. We take a look at Dragon Boat Festival celebrations in Taiwan, and Ben Hedges finds out what it takes to become a Chinese chef. Last week, we introduced you to the beauty of traditional Ming-style Chinese gardens. Margaret Try is back at the Chinese Scholar Garden on Staten Island in New York to find out more about the individual components that make up a Ming Dynasty-style Chinese garden.
The serene beauty of the New York Chinese Scholars Garden transports one back in time to ancient China. It's an authentic replica of Ming Dynasty-style Chinese gardens.
And the idea was proposed to build a replica of an actual Suzhou garden right here in New York City, but to do it outside as opposed to inside in a building.
The garden embodies several key elements found in every Chinese scholar's garden.
We have a banana leaf gate here. It basically is a form, looks like a banana, where you have a doorway. The Chinese gardens, the classical gardens, all had unusual doorways. You have a moon gate over there, which every Chinese scholar's garden would have. You have what they call leaky windows over there, which lets you see part of the other side of the garden and wants to let you see what's on the other side.
Another type is the framed viewing window.
A lot of photographers will use that as a frame for a picture. So there are a lot of traditional items that this garden has that every other garden has.
Water has a special symbolic meaning in a Chinese scholar's garden. It represents the essence of life. Hence, waterfalls and waterways in a garden symbolize the flow and rejuvenation of life. Likewise, rocks have a special meaning in traditional Chinese gardens. 4 types of rocks are used in a New York Chinese scholar's garden. These include granite for building rockeries, stalagmite for vertical accents, small goose egg-shaped pebbles on the walkways and the mosaics of the courtyard, and the Taihu sculpture rocks.
Originally in ancient China, they mined these rocks from Lake Tai outside of Suzhou. The lake itself is an acid lake probably, and the rocks are a limestone rock. And the water, as it moves around the rocks and through the rocks, ate holes in it. The Chinese appreciate them or revere these rocks as a natural sculpture.
The Lake Tai rocks symbolize wisdom and immortality.
These Taihu rocks are definitely found in almost every Ming garden.
Inside a tea house, there is another type of sculpture rock, Lingbi rocks, one shaped like a phoenix or a dragon, the other like a buffalo or a pig.
The Lingbi rocks are a very dense metallic rock. If you go over to it, very gently hit it with your fingernail, it'll actually ring like a bell. The Chinese used these rocks when they shaped them, and they made bells out of them.
The Chinese appreciate these rocks or viewing stones for their sheen, unusual shapes, and interesting veins or cavities. This deep appreciation for rocks originates from ancient spiritual beliefs and close harmony with nature. Rocks and mountains are believed to exude energy. They symbolize the dwelling places of ancient Taoist immortals the Chinese scholars aspire to emulate. The concept of having huge sculpture rocks in a scholar's garden first started during the Tang Dynasty from 618 to 907 AD. Apparently, Emperor Huizong from the Song Dynasty almost drained the imperial treasury looking for the rare Lake Tai rocks for his imperial garden. An avid painter, poet and calligrapher himself, the emperor was so keen that he instructed the entire residents of 2 towns to search the lake beds for these rocks. Rocks play an important role in Chinese poetry and landscape painting, a pastime of the Chinese scholars as they seek a refuge in their garden. In a Ming-style garden, rocks, waterways and plant life thus provide a serene and idyllic setting for the Chinese scholar as he sits in his garden to do his calligraphy, painting or write his poetry. Margaret Try, New York.
This year, June 23rd, was Dragon Boat Festival, which sees teams of racers competing in contests in elaborately decorated boats. We'll now find out a little bit more about the history of this tradition and how it is celebrated in modern times.
For Chinese, the 5th day of the 5th lunar month of the year means Dragon Boat Festival. This year the event fell on June 23rd. The festival is believed to come from an ancient Chinese poet, Qu Yuan. Qu was a minister in the state of Chu during China's Warring States period over 2,000 years ago. Because of his support for war against the state of Qin, Qu was slandered and exiled. While in exile, Qu composed poetry showing his loyalty to his country. In 278 BC, before the state of Qin would eventually occupy all of China, Qu chose to drown himself in a river rather than see his country invaded. When locals learned of Qu's death, fishermen rowed boats up and down the river. They threw traditional foods such as zongzi into the water to attract fish and stop them from eating the poet's body. Now Chinese people commemorate the poet's patriotism on the anniversary of his death by racing dragon boats and eating zongzi. This tradition is very much alive in Taiwan. In the southern city of Tainan, the mayor performs the eye-dotting ceremony. Chinese traditionally believe this brings life into the dragons before the race starts. Now dragon boats are all decorated with elaborate designs.
These dragon boats are so beautiful. The colors are so bright, and with the gate of the palace of the Heavenly Empress behind, they look so beautiful. They make people happy.
This year in Tainan, about 180 teams competed in the contest. This includes 16 teams from other countries. In Jiayi, 36 teams took part in a race. Another competition was held on Jinmen Island, the closest part of Taiwanese territory to mainland China. On Double Carp Lake, 2 yellow dragon boat teams grabbed the attention of spectators. One belonged to students from Xiamen University in mainland China. The other team was students from Jinmen University. Despite getting completely drenched, these 18 and 19-year-old female students continued to row with all their hearts.
Maybe the oars were dipped in pretty deep, so it splashed all over, so our entire bodies are wet. Every time after practice, our whole body is wet, even at night. We're used to it. When we first got on, sometimes the boat is not balanced, so it flipped. And then everybody was nervous, but it's necessary to overcome that mental obstacle.
Xiamen University team took the lead, with Jinmen University following closely behind. But the girls were initially not keen about the race.
Because the sun is scorching, you girls may not want to go in the sun, right? To preserve their makeup, they don't want to get into the water.
The mainland Chinese teachers and students took the rare opportunity to sightsee and experience Dragon Boat Festival on Taiwanese territory. Next year's Dragon Boat Festival will fall on June 13th.
Now in the last installment of Ben Hedges' interview with Master Chef Robin Luo, we find out just what it takes to become a Chinese-style chef.
Well, I'm here in the studio with Robin Luo. He is the Gold Award winner from last year's NTD Chinese Culinary Competition in Times Square. Thanks very much for being with us here today, Robin. 如果我要成为一个中餐的厨师，我该怎么学习？培训的过程怎么样？
如果说你要做中餐，首先你要了解中国的文化，你要很热爱中国的一种饮食文化，还有你的一种烹调 你要喜欢它，你才能做得好。然后呢，要充分的了解它的食材，什么什么它的特点，每样东西它有很多很多的材料，但是每样的特点都不一样，你要了解它。还有一些简单的调料，你也要了解它。然后呢，首先是从刀工开始，怎么样切这个比较合理，然后容易熟，就是容易吃，再加上就是怎么调味，怎么跟什么配搭，你要首先了解这些，你才能慢慢的学到一个很好的厨师。
学了几年之后，才可以把我叫做一个师傅，学会了。
看每个人，他的真的是很喜欢他，会学得快一点。他的真正的目的就是喜欢这种文化的人，他能学得快一点，他能了解他一种很微观的东西。我觉得我当时我就学了大概有6、7个月，我就开始也炒菜了。学徒只有6、7个月的时间，剩下的都是我18岁就开始做大厨了。对。
好，很多西人他们吃过西方中餐馆做的菜，可是你可否推荐一些比较传统的西人不能错过的几盘菜？
首先吃海鲜，清蒸鱼我觉得很有代表性。清蒸鱼它是很健康，很清淡。如果说肉类的话，我喜欢那个梅菜扣肉，东坡肉，这些我都很喜欢。
你最喜欢的是什么？
我最喜欢吃的海鲜。
海鲜
是
粤式海鲜吗？
对，螃蟹，就它就是直接蒸出来就可以了，不会加，不用炸，我不喜欢炸的东西。通过炸了以后再烧出来的我不是很喜欢。海鲜一定要清蒸的，或者是水煮一下就可以了。
我个人很喜欢北京烤鸭，我怎么判断那个烤鸭是好的还是坏的？
首先那个皮要很脆，然后呢肉很嫩，就是很香，很有鸭子的味道，是这种鸭子。
那川菜呢？很多人吃过麻辣火锅、麻婆豆腐，可是你可不可以推荐一些其他的四川菜？
四川的那个大蒜炒咸肉，也是很好吃。因为它在那边挂的那个挂在外面晾干的那个肉，腊肉，炒大蒜。就是有一点点放点辣椒进去，微辣的那个菜很好吃。
好，谢谢您。Thank you very much for being with us today, Robin.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for this week, but if you are watching this on YouTube, you can check out all our episodes in the Discovering China playlist. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.